The Game Awards 2023 have just wrapped up. Baldur's Gate 3 got the big win with 6 awards, followed by Alan Wake 2 with 3 trophies. But where is our Spidey? Many fans already planned a victory parade for Spider-Man 2 when it got nominated in 7 categories, calling it the Game of the Year. But guess what? It got snubbed in every darn category. Well, Marvel's Spider-Man 2 losing the Game Awards this year is just part of a bigger problem that is daunting Sony's and PlayStation's future. Today we're diving deep into the electrifying world of Sony's PS5 and their exclusives, as well as some really shady console practices. We'll explore the controversies, the questionable decisions, and perhaps even some untold stories that will leave you questioning the industry as a whole. So, the PS5 arrived on November 12th, 2020, claiming faster load times and sharper graphics. It wanted to make our current games more fun without overshadowing the old ones. But even with super quick loading, the cool DualSense controller, and the stunning ray-traced graphics, there's still no standout moment for the PS5. But for the first 2 years, it was limited in its vision with only 5 games, namely until December 2022, Astro's Playroom, Demon's Souls, Destruction All-Stars, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, and Returnal. And I need to remind you that Gran Turismo 7, Horizon Forbidden West, and God of War Ragnarok were all cross-platform releases. There are tons of folks out there who went through all sorts of trouble to snag a PS5 right when it dropped, only to end up with what feels like a high-tech paperweight. Let's talk about Sony's big 2023 exclusive, Forspoken. The PS5 version's user score is struggling at 3.8 and on PC. Fast forward to Final Fantasy XVI, which came out on June 22nd, 2023. Now, it ain't a total game over like Forspoken, but here's the twist. Square Enix initially shouted extremely strong sales, only to make a U-turn later. It turns out, they blamed the PS5's slow uptake for their epic fail. Square Enix's CEO Takashi Kiryu admitted the sales didn't meet their high score expectations. Back in the day, $60 was the golden ticket for games, and even then, it felt like a hefty toll on our wallets. Brace yourselves because the next gen era comes with a price. Literally, a cool $10 more. To be exact. The big bosses, including Sony's Jim Ryan, are justifying this uptick, claiming it's all fair game. Ryan dropped Demon's Souls into the conversation, highlighting the sheer number of hours players can dive into this masterpiece compared to other forms of entertainment. It's a marathon, not a sprint, he argues. With Demon's Souls packed to the brim with content, the justification for that $70 tag is rooted in the epic journey it offers, which means a lengthy game means more bang for your buck, right? Then let's talk about Spider-Man 2, which has a standard playthrough of 15 to 18 hours. So the question arises, should Spider-Man 2 be carrying a price tag lower than the epic journey of Demon's Souls? Alright, so there's been this noticeable rise of what some call the woke agenda in gaming lately, especially with Sony games. And, you know, it's kind of splitting the fanbase. Naughty Dog seems to have a thing for messing with their beloved characters through these strong female characters, like Nathan Drake gets tossed around by Nadine or Joel in The Last of Us 2, making some questionable decisions and meeting a rough end at the hands of Abby with a golf bat. Then there's unexpected same-gender romance in Horizon Forbidden West's DLC. You might think Sony would ease up, but nope. Even in the super fun Spider-Man 2, they're shoving narratives in your face that feel a bit out of place. There's graffiti shouting Black Lives Matter, Miles Morales taking over as the main Spider-Man, a new female Spider-Woman called Silk, and a side mission where Miles helps a gay couple with their homecoming. Plus, the streets of Manhattan aren't just showing off the rainbow pride flag, but also transgender, bisexual, gay, ace, pan, and lesbian flags. It's like I am up with all the rights and all, but is all this really necessary in a video game? Should the games really need to be a social commentary? Can we talk about this pattern PlayStation's got going on? They keep remastering and remaking games that are practically still warm from the last generation. It's like, really, Sony? We've chatted before about how Sony's got this limit on how many awesome games it can drop each year. So every time they decide to give a game a makeover, it feels like we're missing out on something fresh and original. Look at the Last of Us games, and the latest gossip about Horizon Zero Dawn getting a redo. Sony's kind of messing up the remake game. Instead of getting Dead Space or Resident Evil 4 level remakes, we get this The Last of Us 1 remake, with mostly just a shiny new coat of paint. And here's another kicker. We are getting a remaster for The Last of Us 2, which is just a 3-year-old game. At this date, we should get its remake too before the next PlayStation. How can we forget about the Days Gone? The game that was loved and played by millions, but still PlayStation didn't approve its sequel. Creative director and writer of the game, David Yaffe, actually revealed during a podcast that the reason it not being renewed for a sequel was people discovering it through PS Plus. The game was not bought in full price, and that's why it wasn't much profitable for Sony. Thousands of people signed a petition asking Sony to approve the sequel. But if the games don't sell at $70 with a remaster releasing within 3 years of launch, then sorry, you are not getting a sequel. Imagine if The Last of Us didn't have those cinematic moments. Would it still be the hit it is? Or would it lose some of its charm if you skip those scenes on your first playthrough? Here's the deal. These games have the potential for greatness, but sometimes the obsession with story and cinematics kind of puts the brake on the creativity they need for groundbreaking gameplay. Sony's got this laser focus on visuals, but gameplay ends up taking a back seat. And that's how we end up with meh titles like The Order 1886. Sony's all about these cinematic games, with complex stories and crazy set pieces. But here's the kicker. If we strip away the cutscenes, what's left of Sony's love for cinematic storytelling? Especially when you stack them up against Elden Ring, Baldur's Gate 3, or even Nintendo's gems like Zelda Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. We could use more games like The Returnal and The Ghost of Tsushima, right? Ones that balance both story and killer gameplay. What do you think? Let's talk about Sony's latest hype. Project Q, their new handheld gadget. But hold up, it's not as awesome as it sounds. This thing is all about remote play and only works with Wi-Fi. No cellular magic here. So forget about gaming on the go, it's not a full-blown console, more like a streaming sidekick. The battery life is just 3 to 4 hours. Not great, especially for streaming. And the price? $300. Compare that to Nintendo's OLED handheld, and it's not a sweet deal. And let's talk about looks. It's like they snapped a DualSense controller in half, slapped on an 8-inch screen, and boom! Massive and bulky. Picture yourself using it outside your gaming locker. You'll look like a total dork. Here's the kicker. We already have PS5 remote play on smartphones, so why drop cash on this clunky thing that's just not worth it? Now, let's take a look at more of Sony's wild moves this year. Seriously, where are the new games? Except for Marvel's Spider-Man 2, it's been crickets. And they hit us with a price hike on PlayStation Plus Premium. Like, really? They dropped the bomb that prices are going up on September 6th. And Sony forgot to tell us why. Their blog post says, "This price adjustment will enable us to continue bringing high-quality games and value-added benefits to your PlayStation Plus subscription service." But right after that, 16 games bounced, including gems like The Quarry, Far Cry 4 and 5, The Crew, The Medium, and a bunch of Yakuza titles. Now, Sony's rolled out this slimmer version, claiming a 30% size reduction, the PS5 Slim. But The Verge did a size check, and guess what? Both the new models are still bigger than the Xbox Series X. Now, the Slim packs a full 1 terabyte, beating the OG's 825 gigabyte. But think about it, games these days are massive, like 100 gigabytes each. Is that extra storage really worth the hype? And let's talk looks. The Slim's got this odd vibe, especially with its disk drive sticking out like it's trying to stand out even more. Now here's the kicker, it's pricier. The PS5 Slim Digital Edition is $50 more than the launch model. The OG Digital Edition is $399, but the Slim version will hit you for $449. And if you want to add a disk drive later, that's an extra $100. So if you go for the PS5 Slim Digital and decide to play disc-based games down the road, you're looking at a total of $549. And the worst part is that there's no vertical stand for the Slim. So, fellow gamers, as we wrap up this roller coaster of Sony news, it's clear they're not the untouchable heroes we might have thought. But I would love to know your opinion on this. Hit the like button if the video felt relatable, and subscribe for more game explainers.